good. I'm good. So, and
He's really-
the people who probably weren't here at 7 o'clock.
No, they didn't go anywhere. They were waiting for us to rejoin. So
Oh, okay. All right.
enough of that already.
Jermaine?
Well, sir.
He never missed an opportunity.
No, man. Listen here, man.
I didn't come to preach.
No. I just came to share a good word. Amen. You know, my morning was pretty good. Yesterday was pretty good. I got a lot done. And
Especially after your Tuesday.
yeah. You know,
Because man, that Rodney, I said Rodney should have saw them. They look like they've seen a ghost.
Doc, listen here. I ran up out of here. Gave me a bucket of oil, Crisco, or whatever you want to shoot my way. Give it to me. Ajax,
What
Hisco,
happened Tuesday? What happened?
the psychic.
The psychic.
Oh yeah.
Calling
yeah.
me now. I ran up out of here like, man, I'm gone.
Reverend Nelson, they had Jermaine come out to me. Said, I need you to pray. I said, dude, I can't help you. I'm a Baptist.
that was the
I'm a
funniest.
Baptist. I can't
That
help
was
you.
deep.
And then I said, y'all should have never left in the first place.
Should have stayed put.
Stay put. You be prepared. I never forget. I love Bishop Daniels, Bishop Cedric Daniels. I just love his preaching. And he preached that message about how people were saying, Lord, we're trying to cast out demons. We couldn't. And, we did it and we couldn't. And he said, demons like this requires fasting and praying.
Prayer.
It's saying that there's a certain level of preparation you got to have for certain types of demon.
Yeah.
You just can't come in here what you normally do.
Yeah.
So, man, but and I saw the look, and they did one. Debo did a shot of you when she was talking, and you had this look on her face like, Satan.
Yeah. Doc, listen.
I intentionally potted him up a couple times. I'm like,
in my
maybe
head.
to see this face he's making.
I ain't even
Are
gonna
you
lie.
serious?
In my head, I was saying,
Keith, I'll share the backstory to this whole thing with you later.
but in my head, when I was getting my Elder Wallace on, I was, hi. Jesus.
But then I said, but then here's the piece of it. And this is where we got to step up and acknowledge how many of us have gone to certain churches where somebody's prophesying over your life.
Well,
And what is the difference?
well, prophecy and that whole difference is who you serve it.
Well,
No. It's all because, again, since we wrestle not against flesh and blood and against the spiritual realm, the spirit realm is smarter than the human realm.
Ooh.
So it's all about who you serving. Now, if you go see a sorcerer that don't have a relationship with Christ, come on, Doc. I feel
You
this
could
guy.
be in trouble.
Yeah.
You assuming that those prophets have a relationship with Christ. Don't make that assumption.
No. I'm not assuming. It's all about who you acknowledge and who you claim. So if you acknowledge that you serving him and that you serving God,
I pointed out in Sunday school that there's a whole lot of people in ministry where somebody came over and said, you gonna preach. And you sitting up there listening to the house prophet. I don't know how that works, the whole calling piece of it. But look, and then here's the other piece of it. It's just what we do as Black people.
well, I mean, though you do know with a prophecy, it takes two. No. Watch.
Pretty complicated.
No, watch.
Well, let's do this. Let me get to my guest.
Oh,
and then
okay.
we can,
Yeah, Doc, because you just opened up something now. I'm just going to give myself an offer.
Yeah, you giving him a portal.
Yeah.
I know. No, that I brought the shovel for that rabbit hole. That was my fault. That's my fault. We're joined in the studio by my friend, my colleague, Reverend Victoria Nelson of the Metropolitan Missionary Baptist Church, 1345 West Burleigh. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I am great, grand, and blessed.
There you go. You don't What's our group? It's gonna be part of my theme song now. What's our group? The don't be howling.
Oh, whisper to Jesus. What was that? Was
It was the Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomies.
Deuteronomy.
Joe and the Deuteronomy.
Oh, they got it.
Oh,
So why you hollering? Stop hollering at the
Stop
Lord.
yelling at the Lord.
You're here to talk about something that I know is near and dear to you. Talk about that. What is it? The community.
Community prayer walk, Reverend. And the thing is that unity in the community was a concept that God, not a concept, actually, it was birthed in my spirit after working with Water and Word, which is my ministry, that I am out every other week at Pick and Save, near Pick and Save.
Which one?
The Pick and Save right there in Midtown, and it's right.
Okay, that was still
It
open.
is right. It is right for the picking. So I am. My ministry is out there, and so the Lord said the church needs to be out there. And our scripture is 2 Chronicles 7:14, where the Lord's response to Solomon, right? And his prayer. And he said, if my people. So if we are his people, I believe the people of the community can get healed until the church is healed. I do believe that. And so that is where it was birthed from. He gave me that scripture and told me that is what he wanted me to do.
How many years?
So it's been 3 years.
Okay.
It's been 3 years, Red.
And again, just for some context, it's interesting. The oldest Black churches in the city of Milwaukee are all concentrated in zip code 53206.
Yes.
Which is really kind of interesting. And I wouldn't say, but coincidentally, yesterday they did a pop-up walk through the community because the Nation of Islam's mosque number 3 has just moved right up the street. So they had brothers out there walking in the community, talking about the same thing you're talking about, like unity, positivity. So you said the Lord gave you that. What has been the response when you walk through the community?
We canvassed the neighborhood just Saturday, just telling them that we'll be over at the church and we'll be in the community, just giving them fair warning that we are coming with an impact for the Lord. And so we were in the community just engaging with them. I think the response was overwhelming that people want to see change and people want to see Christ. But they get us when they come to church. You've always said that. I'm stealing that from you. But they do. They get us when they come to the church. So if we can get out into the community, I think that is very positive. And they see us in the community doing God's work, not even just God's work, but just being human, just being loving and caring towards them.
What do you think where these churches now are drive-in churches? They used to be, we walk to church. Many of us live within a mile of the church. People from the community. I know certainly there are many people that I grew up with who, because the church was there, they walked there.
Yeah.
And then we used to have a hot lunch program in the summertime, which drew a lot of kids in the neighborhood. Even the vacation Bible school, because we did the food. The kids would show up, and I think that presence in the community. But you said something. Do you think it's our attitude within those church walls that's impacting on people who might want to come into the church?
Yes, they don't want to come into our beautiful edifice and get the response that they get from us sometimes. And I'm not saying that that's everybody, because you do have loving and caring people within our church walls. But I'm saying that sometimes, again, they come in looking for God, looking for a comfort, and we show up with our attitudes.
I think that, and a lot of times you have great preaching, great singing.
Yeah.
But if you ask people why they're members of church, they will tell you fellowship.
Sure.
that people who are typically situated, that we have a tendency, one of the things that I always loved about the name Metropolitan was it talked about drawing people from everywhere. And I don't know if that was part of what went into naming that church back when it was founded, but that idea that we bring in all types of people. How do you think that the gospel is one of those things that can transcend a lot of these demographic things that might be in place when people come into that church space?
I do, because that's what Jesus did. He was revolutionary. We know that our Savior was revolutionary. And so when he went out, things changed. And as Christians, if we enter a room and the atmosphere hasn't changed, then I think that, we need to go back. But I just wanted to reiterate that you said something about, that the Metropolitan Baptist Church is supposed to reach worldwide, or even just our inner city. We should be reaching those. But we also have Missionary Baptist Church in our name. And the mission, what is the mission? The mission is to go out to the community and do the work of the community and save the lost, but also engage with them, thinking about Jesus Christ and the woman at the well. He created a whole relationship with that woman before he told her about her sins.
Dr. Demetrius Williams introduced me to a term called salvic, where we're more concerned about our own personal salvation and understanding that it's more than me giving my life to Christ. There should be some compelling action. We need to be moved by the suffering of people, right? And then what aid? And then that gets me to Matthew 25, where we should visit the sick. We should feed the hungry. We should shelter those who are unsheltered. We need to clothe those who are naked. I think we spend so much time worried about our own salvation. We and I think you used a key word there. What is our bigger mission? How do we achieve that?
Amen. I feel that everything that you said is correct. And the thing that I want to point out is that Metropolitan Baptist Church do feed. We feed the community. Sister Janice and others go down each morning,
I'm telling you,
to feed the community.
More than 40 years.
And for 40 years. And so that is a great feat. Our pastor, Reverend Red, our interim pastor, Reverend Red, has always supported that, and has just as some form of preaching have preached about that as well. So I think that we are a community that needs even more boots on the ground. When one of the pastors preached that last Sunday, and I thought it was good. It wasn't even about the fans, where them fans at. It was just about getting out in the community and doing what we need to do.
How much do you think, though, because we are a drive-in church, that people don't necessarily see that as part of their community? Or is that their neighbors? Because, I'm only there for the 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours that I'm there on Sunday, if I'm there for some activity during the week. But that they don't necessarily see that these folks in their neighborhood, in that neighborhood, are their neighbors.
Sure. I drive in. I drive in from almost Tulsa. So to come to Metropolitan, and others do from Mequon, other places in the city. But that goes back to having a kingdom mindset. Again, a kingdom outlook. Because we can't just focus in on our piece, as you said before. We can't just focus in on our salvation, which is salvic to us. What saves us and what puts us in our comfort zone. Jesus wants us to get out of our comfort zone and get to ministry and mission.
Yeah, and Bishop Tutu's book, God is Not a Christian, he talks about Ubuntu. Which is this African concept of the interconnectedness of humanity, that we're all connected
Sure.
to each other. I think we kind of you know, I
Sure.
always say, people coming to church look for Jesus, they get us. But sometimes how are we connected, like good, but say the Samaritan. Here's a person who there was hostilities between the person in need and his culture,
Mm-hmm.
but he went beyond that
Mm-hmm.
to see that human need, that human suffering, to address it. Yet the very people, his kin folks, decided to go the other way. And I think that we get a lot of that in terms of being able to go out. So do you have how long is the route?
The route is about usually about 4 or 5 people go in a group, and we go east west, and then we go north and south on 14th Street. We start right there on the corner of 14th Street, and each person takes their route and as far as they can go. So we have elderly people at our church, right? And they're usually sitting in the lot and they're praying for us. And they're, letting people who came a little late know what we're doing. And so some people are gone for an hour, 2 hours. We've had a group to go out and be gone for 2 hours. But the thing I want to point out is that we've invited all the churches in the community, all the churches that surrounds us, Calvary, Canaan Baptist Church. We have invited Rock Hill Baptist Church, and they have 2 churches within them that we have invited. And so so we come up with a route. My husband Clark Nelson, he made a route for us to walk, and so he printed it out. As we walk it, we are continuing to impact the community.
I think that that when you go in and you have that kind of contact where people, we are really in connect. I'm glad. As a matter of fact, one of the people who are usually with us on Tuesdays, her dad is the pastor of that other church in Rock Hill. And how important it is just to get out there and be in that presence.
Yes.
I saw a couple of weeks ago, I was going down to Tonya, and Calvary was out doing prayer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they can do drive-through prayer. So you're making their presence known in that community. And like I said, the fact that, let's start with Tabernacle, Calvary, Canaan, Metropolitan, St. Mark's, Calvary.
Yes.
These are some of the oldest churches,
Yes.
and that they were there. So people want to be part of it. What time does it start? Where are you assembling?
It started at 10 o'clock in the parking lot of Metropolitan Baptist Church on 1345 West Burleigh. We'll be there at 10 o'clock. If you want to show up early, we're still setting, even if we're still setting up, we will engage you in conversation. And if you would like to help or come and just be a part of what we're doing in the community. I do think that the community is hungry for something, even more of this. And this is just small. I believe that it's big. It's a big impact in the kingdom, but I do believe that it's a small start. And the Bible tells us not to despise small starts. And so I don't. And so I am looking for all churches, not just those churches I've named in our community, in our surrounding community, but I'm hoping that all churches will hear about this and come and join us in our walk at 13th and Burleigh.
And if they want information, can they call the church?
Sure. And they can also call the churches. It will be Sister Janice Carnell will be answering the phone. I did tell her that people will be calling. She has told me about some people who have called. So call the church. 414-562
7200.
7200. Right? We know that number.
That
How many times have we called that?
That number has not changed since we moved in 1968. That has been the same number.
Not at all.
I appreciate you. Is there a flyer?
Yes, there are flyers, and like I said, we canvass the neighborhood
Can
and
you
pass out flyers.
can you email it to me? And
Sure.
And we'll Do send me
I
a soft
did
copy.
email you a
Okay,
flyer.
then I'll find it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did email
And then
you
I
a
can have we can put it up and post it.
flyer. Amen.
I appreciate that.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Reverend Victoria Nelson, and she's here as part of the community prayer walk. That's going to be happening. That's a pretty Saturday, July 12th. National holiday. At 10 o'clock here at the parking lot. That's all the district. That's 13.5. Just like, thank you. We'll listen to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break. And we'll be right back.
Hey, good morning, Keith.
Good morning.
Good morning, Devo. Good morning, Jermaine.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
So I heard the discussion earlier on the show in regards to the stores closing. My question to all three of you gentlemen is, when are we going to get together and have our own grocery stores in our own community collectively? We don't have to depend on outside sources.
Yeah,
And so,
I totally agree.
what is your response to that, Mr. Parris?
I agree. But again, I just pointed out that, we have the Sherman Park Market. How many people are going over there to support that, brother?
Well, I believe there are people in the community supporting that because that's the only store over there.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the case of 35th and North Avenue, it kind of frustrates me in regards to we're always waiting for white America to provide the resources that we need in our own community. And we are a people, but we are a people that's obviously divided,
And you know what? I think it's also one of those residual effects of integration. I put integration in quotation marks. Prior to this, we had to do for ourselves, right?
Yes.
I mean, segregation was such that, you had to build, you had to find somebody to cut your hair. You had to find somebody to bury you, and then you had people like Besley Martin who went into, the grocery business. A lot of that was just out of necessity. But now with, the globalization of the economy, if you have a successful business, at some point you're going to get bought out. Johnson Hair Care Products is a great example where, they've been bought out because they were so successful. It's kind of hard when somebody's coming in offering you $40 million and you going like, I don't know, do I want to continue to do this? But I agree. But just been able to support that brother there where people came in, and his vision was that there was a food desert in that area. He would put a store there. I mean, you do go in and find, like fresh produce in the store. It's a great store. That Sunday, oh man, those Sunday meals, that oxtail, Rhonda got the oxtail dinner. Ooh,
right.
Ooh, I had a heart attack looking at it. It looks good.
Yeah,
but I agree with you.
Here we are. I don't know what the population is of the adult African Americans in this city. However, if we put our money together, we can have a grocery store. Mm-hmm. And we can provide jobs for the people in our community, just like the other ethnic groups come in our community and only provide jobs for the people that's in their family or that's in their ethnic group, and by us, complaining about the things that we don't have, we need to put our sources together and we need to provide the things that we need for our own community. And I want to end by saying it was so good to hear the young lady that was just on there in regards to the churches coming out into the community. And we need the churches to come out into the community. We really need to have some source of hope. There are so many people in our community, they don't have any hope whatsoever, and I think this is why we have all this violence and crime in our community. And, so we need to take a look at that. We need to take a look at ourselves, and somebody needs to step up. We got people in the city of Milwaukee that are very powerful in our community, and we need to give ourselves what we need. Thank you.
All right, appreciate you. Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm trying to get off this daggone speakerphone. 1 second, brother. My phone is crazy. Hey, okay. I want to piggyback on that last caller and what he was saying, like why wait on somebody to give us to give us some. Y'all were talking about the store. And the word theft kept coming up. Theft. It almost make it seem like everybody that walk in there is stealing. I would almost be willing to bet they make so much money in the liquor department, it could carry the store. You also mentioned that Sherman Park store. And y'all mentioned Walmart buying cargo containers and stuff. If that man, the brother who owned the Sherman Park store, would buy that Pick and Save on 35th, well, Walmart might be buying milk and pan $1.75 a gallon, selling it for $2.25. That brother, because of his volume, only had to pay $2 and sold it for $2.30. If we bought 500 gallons of milk from this guy a day as black people, he'd be okay just in volume. I mean, just the volume that he's turning over. You also mentioned Quest and people getting food stamps. In that area, if I own a store, that's what I would want. And I'm sure Pick and Save was quite happy with that. Think about something. To the east of there is Gal's Food Market. I lived over there in the 60s. Gal's been taking food stamps and Quest for 50 years, and they've seen to survive. And I bet that make up I bet 75% of their businesses with the food stamps, SNAP, whatever, EBT type sales. You know what I'm saying? Right. This all starts and ends with us. If we would, if the man, like again, if one of our investors, we got black people out here with money, if we would buy the store, if we would run it like a store, and if we would patronize our people, we could close all the Pick and Saves down, especially on the north side of Milwaukee, and say the hell with them. But again, we like the man just said, we beg people to feed us, to provide this for us. We actually do them a favor and send their kids to medical school. They ain't doing us no favors.
Right.
And then again, we keep mentioning theft when it's 35th Street. And I even seen that on feeds on Facebook. Are they stealing on Ryan Road?
Yes.
And they do have the heroin heads that probably go in there.
Yep.
But that word don't come up to any other store but 35th Street. And all of that is demographics. We have to quit throwing them bones down the street when it comes to us. All that mess ain't theft. I know I got a tenant. Been a tenant 11 years. She loved that store. She works at that store. We say everybody in there dirty. Everybody got an attitude. That's a lie. We see one person that we had some kind of altercation with, just like the fight at Summerfest. They put that on the news, which was silly. Them little kids, their parents need to beat the hell out of them. But it was fights down there. That wasn't only fight down there. Anytime you have alcohol, drunks, and all that, you're going to have fights. I've seen worse fights at church festivals on the South Side. But you take, and if you highlight a certain store, a certain group of people, this is when you get all your negativity. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in them stores ain't treating you bad. Everybody ain't dirty. Everybody hair ain't combed. That's just a lie. But we could take a paintbrush and do one stroke of our own people, but when somebody else do it, we walking around with our lips poked out. We got to get our stuff together, man.
Fortunately, that is the reality regardless of race. If you go into a business and you have a bad experience in that it might have been one person, but it was the one person. That one person is representative of the organization. So it is a matter of when people.
But sometimes it's our mindset. Let me give you an example. We worked together 30 years. So every time he would see me eating Perkins, he would say, "Oh, I went there." Would give me this story about he bought a hamburger, a big Perkins. I almost know the story by heart. It didn't have this on it. They didn't put my tomato. Every time for years. So one day he's sitting in the lunchroom. He says, "Damn, I told that dude this is the third time at J&J's to fry my chicken tenders hard, and they still ain't hard." And I told him, I said, "You know something?" I said, "You've been giving me this Perkins story. You gave them one and done. One and done." I said, "You just said out of your own mouth, this is the third time that this guy at J&J's didn't fry your chicken tenders hard. He got 3 chances." Sometimes we're a little more hard on us. Everybody else can get a ghetto pass. But we super hard on, and just because as a black business owner, you're serving black people, Don't give them a substandard product or service or treatment. But you know what? Let's hold everybody. If you got a standard, don't let nobody go under it.
There you go. There you go.
Nobody. I don't care what color, what they selling. If you got a standard, you set your standard. Never let nobody go under your standard. So let's buy that store, y'all, and let's patronize that store.
Right. And let me say this about the Big Perk. I've always had a good one. So,
but I'm serious, you know. And people,
but it also says something though in terms of, and I don't know. These are Palestinians that run JJ's, so that is a third world group of people like us, and I shouldn't say third world, but you know, minority group of people. You're right, but I look, I was responsible for customer service in our division, and I said your best customer service is with your worst customer. That we should always be mindful that the impression that you make, the people at the front door, you set the tone for how people are going to go in. And yet it's unfair to say, because I had this bad interaction with Keith, that Jermaine and Debo, you know, they're not that way. But I didn't meet Jermaine or Debo. I met Keith.
Exactly. And again, I truly understand what you're saying. But you know what? And like they said, it's people dirty. I've walked in some of these stores and you go to the bakery and you look at what this person, how they look, and you're like, I don't got a taste for donuts no more. Right. That's bad management. You're not going to be standing here looking like you just got to put a motor in a 73 Deuce and be handing people donuts. You got to go home. You got to go change. Don't show up tomorrow like that.
Oh, and I think, as a general observation, some people need to realize you work for somebody. And if you're getting your check from that brand, you have a responsibility to represent that brand in its best light, because that's impacting your bottom line, right?
Yes. So, like I said, I wanted a dozen donuts. Now I look at how you dressed, or your face ain't washed, and this and that. Just your upkeep. You just turned my stomach. I don't want no donuts, and not out of here.
I was at a spot, and I don't know. They let Mama come in work, and she messing everything up. And you got stuff going on. That is, I don't know if you watched, have you seen The Bear? I don't know if you've seen about The Bear. It's about, you know, how you run. When you run like an institutional kitchen, there's a certain efficiency. If you look at McDonald's, right? And we have our issues with McDonald's, but they have a system and everybody works within that system, because the bottom line is everything from how you're greeted at the counter to what people are doing behind. So, a lot of times, and then what are you paying people? You know, and I hate to put it this way, but you get what you pay for, right? So if you're paying people where they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel like they're part of the team.
So much profit in food. You know what? If I got to have Keith as a bad employee for $5 an hour, I'd rather have a good one for $7 an hour. I'm still going to get my money.
Right. And I'm just saying that the investment, or if and say a lot of times, again, it is this, how we're financed and what we're able to do. We were talking about it off air, and we were talking about when we had that bad windstorm and we lost power in the city. And because, you know, people talk about food. Well, food is a perishable. That's the problem with restaurants. Restaurants will tell you they got to sell that food, because if they don't sell it, it spoils. They got to throw it out. So they paid for it, and then they're not going to be compensated for it. So that's why if you look at, there are some Black restaurants that don't have a bar. So now, I'm not advocating that you should or shouldn't, but I'm telling you that most established restaurants that you see where they have a bar, because that bar can absorb some of the cost of you doing that food. Exactly. Plus, the labor that goes into preparing food is different than having Jermaine back there pouring drinks.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then and part of a lot of bars, they do food that's high in sodium, so you buy more drinks. Right.
Exactly. You popcorn, peanuts.
Right. My former teammate, Rick Schmidt, his brother Rob Schmidt, they're the people who do Water Street Brewery, RC's, and he's changed his menu down at Water Street Brewery. It used to be you go down and you basically had a sit-down menu for lunch, sit-down menu for dinner. He said, no, the demographic has changed. Young people coming in don't want to sit down and have a steak. They want some wings. They want some nachos, right? I mean, so you got to also be valuable enough to change, based on the people that you're serving. Unfortunately, because I hate, man, that they've changed the menu down at Elsa's. I know Michelle don't deal with Elsa's, but a lot of that had to do with what was happening in the place and how it was impacting their bottom line, where you had people come in, they're going to the play. Good church folks, love church folks, good church folks. They ain't buying no liquor there. So, yeah, you did all that food, but normally they probably factored in that if me and Jermaine and Debo come in, we both are going to do 2 drinks apiece, right?
Okay.
And then sell you some food.
Let me close with this. Bill the Butcher, I know you're familiar with it. It's right outside of that street on
crack those ribs for you.
Yeah, they closed. Now listen, how long were they closed? 4 years?
Yeah,
they
somebody in there now, though?
Huh?
There's somebody in there now.
It's a black lady that I last knew of. She took it over
a
couple years
Middle
back.
Eastern people got it. It's a Middle Eastern people got it.
Okay.
Oh, so she gone out there.
Well, see, I guess the black, I don't know, for whatever reason, I hadn't been in there, but the Middle Eastern people got it, and they seem to be doing fine. Maybe, do we need them to train us? I would hope not, but they can open some. They can open something anywhere. Yeah,
but they also have finance. You know what I mean? Like, look, if you're coming to this country as an immigrant and you want to open a business, I think you have to have what, $250,000, $500,000. They have financing, and then the Palestinians have networked. So you see all those JJs, but they're buying for the same people that does the hooks. You know, they're all Palestinians.
They
right?
also buy together, and they may be under hooks, so they can go to Empire Fish and buy a truckload.
Right.
They ain't got a problem saying, you take this to Hooks, I'm going to take this to Jan.
Right.
But you just said the key word of my whole conversation. You just said the key word. Let's network. That's the challenge of the day, people. That's the word of the day, like Sesame Street. Let's network.
Now you have to be careful with that because there are some laws that prohibit that. That co-op buying, if you will, because especially with liquor, things of that nature, because there has to be an invoice on premise showing that you purchased it. You can't buy as a group and then disseminate it because there has to be an invoice on premise.
But what you're probably getting, though, is because you're part of that group, you're probably getting a rate based on you being part of that group. You know, in terms of
that could be doable.
And then back in the day, this would have been in the 70s
because taxes and everything gets based on
Elijah Muhammad had cut a deal with, I think it was Libya, where they were getting whiting, right? And because they were Muslims, right? That just like Muslims look out for Muslims, Christians look out for Christians, Jews look out for Jews. That's how they came in. And so, man, I'm talking about the fish that used to get up there on I can't even think of the name of the shack now that was up there on 3rd and Burla.
Oh yeah. Community sandwich shop used to be back in the day.
Buddy. But what I'm saying is, so if you have that network, a lot of times we don't have access to that network. And here's the other piece of it. People need to understand that sometimes wealth building is generational. So me and Jermaine and Debo, we form a business group. We come together. We might do okay, but what we're really doing is putting our children in a position where they're going to really do okay. And I think that we missed that because
Debo just hit the thing on the head when he said liquor. Pick-a-Say or Walmart, they buy liquor. They buy all this liquor from Key Liquor House. They buy $100,000. It don't all go on 35th, so I'm going to Midtown. So it's a way to do it.
No. Again, each store has to order their own liquor. You cannot buy it in a group and disseminate it.
It's a law. I guarantee you it's a law to say that Debo own this, and Joe, John, and 1, 2, 3 are part of what Debo owns. And as a pyramid, Debo can buy it in the bulk and go send it out to his group or his store.
No, you cannot do that with liquor. Guarantee it. You have to have an invoice for that address. You cannot even deliver liquor to an address that doesn't have a license on record with the state, the city, the state. So again, you're splitting hairs. You can't do it.
But you can. But there's the benefit. For example, Kroger's, right? Kroger's is purchasing. So when they do it, so the liquor, are you saying that they buy liquors usually through some local distributor?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Exactly. And when I come in, I meet with the store manager and I go over, okay, you got par levels. You had 7 last week. You down to 3. I'm going to send you 4 more to keep you at your par level. So individual stores order their own orders. They get the same deals that, listen, Pick and Save going to get the same deal as Titonia Wine and Liquor. But Titonia Wine and Liquor buys deeper than any of them. But again, it's based on you got to do it on your own individually. There's no set
Then you
rate.
know what else? Then the way around that is I go to keep the salesman for that distributor and say, I'm bringing John, Joe, and all this to give us the best deal possible. I'll bring you customers. It's always more than one way to interact.
No, Wisconsin has don't they have a minimum markup?
6%.
Okay. Yeah.
And I know that liquor stuff is crazy because I worked in a restaurant where we literally, by law, once you empty a Crown Royal bottle, we had to break it.
That's right, because you can't refill bottles. It's illegal.
Yeah, you can't pour. I don't care if you got a half a bottle of this and a half a bottle of that. You can't just say, well, to make space, I'm going to pour this Crown Royal in that one. Get caught doing that, you got a problem.
So let me ask you, how much money did you make based on what you paid for that bottle of Crown Royal? How much did you make off of that bottle?
Depending on what your shot pour is, you 30, 33, 32 shots in a liter. And that's on average, that's what most bars or restaurants use is liter bottles. Now, depending on what your cost is for the bottle, times 32 or 33, depending on your ounce pours, there's your profit.
And it's big profit.
Absolutely.
Big profit. I only found this out accidentally. We used to have parties when I was in college. And so we would go and we would buy, we buy liquor and then we pour the drinks. So let's say, and this is back in the 70s. So let's say I spent $9 for Crown Royal, right? We're going to make close to $50 at the minimum. And don't talk about when we sold beer, we actually sold the beer and then give it away on a quarter barrel. The amount of money that we made on that quarter barrel.
A quarter barrel, yes.
Yeah. But
so think of what these
we gave away a lot of beer.
Even in the beer business, every bottle, every can, when they do their fiscal year, is equated back to barrels. They don't count cans and bottles; they do barrels.
Barrels, yeah.
Let me get some. I don't know if people know this. When you buy a wedding cake, right? You know what they're selling it by?
By the slice.
By the slice.
How many? Because they'll ask you how many people you trying to feed.
I say 50. That's 50 slices. Right now, how you cut it is on you, but that's what they're charging you. So it's there's a lot that goes into business in terms of people being able to figure out how they do it, how you store the food. Your portions of the food, a lot of times, one of the reasons why Greek restaurants are so popular is because of the portions.
Hey, y'all, and let's do this. I'm going to close my call.
Okay.
These two guys sitting right there seem to have a lot of business sense. If you're listening out there, you're an investor. Let's get the Pick and Save. Hire these two dudes to be advisors. Get the people to come.
They'll be closed in 2.5 days if I can find them.
And advertise on NOV. Everybody wins.
There you go. That's the key.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, that's the key.
All of us win. We can provide jobs, everything, deliver groceries, the whole nine. Give our young people in high school a job. If we go with that, we'll win. Guaranteed.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Man, I gotta have something to do in this deal too. Maybe I can do the music for the commercials.
You're in charge of the music.
Okay, yeah. I want to do something, man.
No, because I'm serious. The Metro out in on 68th and State. Certain times of year, you go in there, they got a piano.
Yeah. Cut the check. I most definitely.
Yeah, they playing inside the grocery store. I noticed Metro down here on and I didn't notice it in Wauwatosa, but down here on Oakland, they have a full bar in the grocery store.
Yeah, and they have a bar in the Metro Mart on State Street.
Okay, so there is one over there.
Yep, I think it's still open.
Yeah, you can sit there and watch the game while the wife is shopping. Have your wine or whatever.
All right.
I don't see that being a destination, but who knows?
Take it. Hey, baby, I'm taking you over to Metro Mart, man, for a drink. Be ready.
Oh, watermelon juice.
Call. You're listening to Community Voice. We're up on a break. We'll be right back.
WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
You ain't got to.
You didn't say we're out the bed.
I did say it.
Oh, did I missed it?
You missed
Oh,
it.
man, because
you was on your phone.
That's the key.
You was doing something else.
We out the bed.
Yeah,
we out the bed. Welcome back to Community Voice, and we're joined in studio, and just by Miss Latina Brooks. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
And of course, Mr. Mandela Barnes.
It's been a while, man.
It's been a minute.
It's been a while. I'm happy to be back. You don't call me no more.
You don't
call me no more.
Well, I saw you on CNN, so I was.
The price going up.
I know that's right. $2 extra.
Price going up.
So anyway, you all are here to talk about the United Negro College Fund Walk Run.
Yes, indeed. Where you want me to start?
Right here at the microphone.
All right.
We got to hear you.
All right. Let me get in the mic. Okay. All right. Well, just wanted to be able to have a conversation with you about the upcoming Walk for Education for UNCF. Even though I have to say I've been at UNCF a long time. When I first got to UNCF, I'm not going to say when that was. When I first came in, the walk to beat was the walk in Milwaukee. And so there was a very high bar set for this event. We know things happen, life happens, stuff happens. But at the end of the day, the work that we do for UNCF is to benefit education and students. And so my job on this side of it is to help to rebuild to those former days where we can really make great impact for students. So we'll love to see how many people I can convince to come out and support us on August 2nd, as well as to help us with a little funds to help those students to get to and through college.
Well, I think part of what the drive was here was churches wanted those trophies.
Churches wanted those trophies.
Oh, man, I was at Metropolitan. We wanted those trophies.
Yeah.
And you know who was the game changer? Christ the King. Christ the King was the game changer, man. I mean, no, that was the whole thing. And we still have trophies there at our church that, we won. And people love the T-shirts, where you come down. This is the 80th year.
So for UNCF, actually 81 years UNCF has been around doing this work. And surprisingly, the walk itself, this is the 41st year it's happened in this market. It has happened in Milwaukee. And so we didn't want to stop and slow and get ourselves together and then come back out. We wanted to keep it moving, build the momentum. So 41 years. So we didn't want to stop that legacy.
So tell us how do young people benefit from UNCF?
So we are a scholarship fund. All of the dollars that we raise goes towards those purposes. So 85 cents of every single dollar that we raise goes directly to scholarships, direct scholarships, indirect scholarships, and student support. For people like me, it means that I have to keep all of my costs way, way, way down so that my impact is extremely high. Of course, we know the cost of education had gone up really pre-pandemic. Since the pandemic, of course, we know costs are up, and then all of us are experiencing costs up for every single thing that we do. So for students,
buy eggs and college.
Look, we can't have no eggs; they're too expensive. But for students, if you can imagine,
I never did soccer food eggs; they were awful.
Well, what's the average diet for college students? What, ramen?
Ramen noodles.
But still, that's up. And so we want to be able to help to impact students. So the work that we do actually does go to scholarships that directly impact students who, without the monies that we provide, would not otherwise have had those funds to stay through college. Takes away the worry so that they can put their focus on the grades, come back and make the impacts in the communities that we need for them to do.
So Mandela, how'd you get involved?
So I have been participating for a long time, and I am going way, way back in my mind, although I haven't even been around for 41 years. Let the record reflect. I remember being a kid, being young, and I was, I run a lot now. But when I was young, I did not. I was a little on the lazy side. And I remember my parents take me to the UNCF Run Walk every year, every single year. And then I would start walking, and inevitably I would stop. My dad would display an anger like I've never seen before. He would get very, very upset. And I remember the first year that I walked the whole 3 miles, and I was like, I felt very accomplished. And it took me like about an hour to do so. And, as an adult, having a chance to go back and participate, as a runner, having been, really competitive in those races, but also remembering the cause has been something that's been super special for me. And so I appreciate y'all even reaching out to invite me to be a part of this, because I do truly think that it was one of the bigger, I haven't been to a bunch of UNCF events, but I have been to a lot of different 5Ks. And this has truly been one that has set a bar. It has truly historically been a race that could compete with any other 5K in the community, in the city. And this one is for, like I said, an amazing cause. It's hard to get to college for a lot of people. The access gap is truly real. It is financially almost improbable for way too many of our children. I'm not gonna say almost. It's financially improbable for too many children in our community, and cost should never be a prohibitive factor for education. And so having a chance to participate in this event on the mission side, but also on the active side, couldn't think of a better convergence.
You went to HBCU?
I went to HBCU. I went to Alabama A&M.
Alabama. You go to HBCU?
I did not go to an HBCU. I stayed very local, but on this side of the journey, knowing what I know, the work that I put in, my children have gone to HBCUs. My son is currently at an HBCU, and he didn't think he wanted to go until I helped him to understand he needed to go.
Where is he?
He's at Tougaloo.
Oh, okay.
Tougaloo.
And I asked that question, which students are eligible for UNCF scholarships?
So all students are eligible for UNCF scholarships. So every year, UNCF actually administers over 400 different scholarships. So it's not just one, several. Each scholarship has different criteria. Depending upon that criteria, you have students that it's very open. I mean, some of them as easy as having a 2.5 GPA. Now, you don't have a lot of scholarships like that. Many of the scholarships, you have to really have high GPAs in order to access. So we actually have a plethora of scholarships that are all across the boards. And those scholarships are not just for students who go to HBCUs, but students who go to any school. We have a number of students that actually go to the University of Wisconsin. We have students that go to Marquette. We've got students even in my neck of the woods that go to schools that are local. We don't have HBCUs that are near to us, except for closest is like you're going towards Ohio, or if you're going to Missouri. So those are the closest that are towards us, but those scholarships are not necessarily restrictive to those HBCUs. So any student can actually apply.
And I think I always made the assumption that it was primarily to support students at HBCUs, but it is obviously African American students. Now, it can be anyone, but
Correct.
Primarily that's the focus. That's what it was designed for in terms of people taking advantage of that. And you talk about the cost. It was interesting because I can always remember going back the 41 years and how it started. We used to have something here back in the 70s called the Hunger Hike. And the Hunger Hike was actually 30 miles that you walked through actually the county of Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
But what you did was you'd have sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I think you start off with
Right.
UNCF. Somebody they sponsor you then it was per mile. You might be sponsored. Right. So how do people now, is it still the same way where I can sponsor someone to be part of it? Or is people just saying, I pay this amount of money to be part of the walk?
So both and. All of those scenarios. To Mandela's point, we actually have a little shy of 30 miles. Did you say 30? we're a little shy of 30 miles. So walk not as long, but the campaign around raising funds and as well as getting the awareness, there are individuals who will say, look, they're probably like me. I might not walk, but honey, I will donate on behalf of whatever you're trying to raise or whatever team you're a part of. So people can actually donate to teams, donate to individuals. There are individuals who say, please support me while I support UNCF and students. So absolutely, people can certainly use those methods to be effective as well.
And you can walk and run.
You can walk and run. You can walk, run. You can walk or run.
You can walk or run at either way.
If the spirit compels you in the middle of your walk,
do both.
you can start running.
And you're physically able.
Hey, and
Absolutely.
but if the spirit tells you to slow down,
Slow down.
Slow
please.
down.
Yes. Always listen to the spirit. Yes.
Yeah, because your body gonna tell you.
Pretty
hey,
much.
the body keeps score.
But I think that's the other piece of it. And again, is it going to be down at the lake?
Yes.
Veterans Park.
Veterans Park. Yeah. So how do people do you have still where there are groups who sign up?
Absolutely. There are groups that are signing up. There are some that have gone to our more electronic, quick options. You know, there are those of us, we will get on those phones and do it really, really quick. And then there are still those that, as you talked about, the church campaigns. I have several churches that want to participate. Nobody wants to do the quick piece. So there are a lot of forms and entry forms that people still actually use to participate and actually sign up for teams. For those that want to do it electronically, they can go to our website to do it. So that's uncf.org/Milwaukee Walk and hit that register button. They'll be able to see all the options as well as join a team.
We we asked a cultural question here from time to time on Community Voice, and one of the cultural questions was, should you be wearing at the family reunion a T-shirt from 2 years ago? So my question is,
Look, I bought it. If that's
we all in purple, and I'm walking in with the white T-shirt from 2 years ago. So what about the T-shirts for UNCF?
Well, I certainly wouldn't want anybody to not be current. We wouldn't want to withhold
But the thing
an
is,
opportunity for
but
you
look,
to have
if
a
you-
new shirt.
if you wear the old shirt, that just shows your dedication. That shows you're not new to this.
Correct.
It shows that you've been around. What better display of commitment than having a shirt from 2 years ago?
And did you say family reunion? Because now that makes it funnier. I
makes it
get
very funny.
exactly what he's saying.
No, I do too. It's very funny.
You probably would wear the current UNCF shirt. Wait a minute. And then they want to get in the picture, be in the front row, like, dude, come on.
Yes.
No, the T-shirts, no, and the reason why I say that, the T-shirts are really, really, people love those T-shirts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They love the
good
T-shirts.
shirts.
And that's why,
It's a part of the fabric of the event.
It
I
is.
truly understand that. So me on the side, from the logistics side, administrative side, even financial side, you want to say, hey, I want to take the shirt away. Like, no, you can't take away those shirts now. People
I
want
just wanna
their
make sure
T-shirts.
you get that
okay?
T-shirt. Let's do the 2025 version.
Correct. Now I think it would be a great kind of a test to see how many T-shirts do people have. I've talked to a number of people who have like 20 shirts.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I might have a T-shirt from 2 years ago, but I can assure you I probably don't have a T-shirt beyond that. For anybody that really does, I would challenge them. I would love for you to email me some pictures of those T-shirts because
Hey, show up in your oldest shirt. That's the new challenge.
Somebody go
Show up in your oldest shirt.
It is just
Show
going
up in your oldest shirt. You will get
I'm
I'm saying it right now. You will get a prize.
People had 2021 Juneteenth shirts on. So just
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah. No, the T-shirts, and I say that because here's what the T-shirts also do. It also puts the brand out.
It does.
And so beyond the walk, when I'm running around in my UNCF shirt, it's hey, okay, that's out. And that was one of our cultural questions. Can you show up at the family reunion with a T-shirt, especially when it's a totally different color?
Absolutely.
It's a good one.
If I could share a quick story, my daughter, or actually all my kids, play basketball.
Okay.
Of course, I am Chicago grown, but in this neck of the woods, I am here all the time. And for basketball, we are here all the time. One particular time in late July, we happened to be up at a tournament for my youngest daughters. And all of a sudden I see this guy with this neon green shirt on. And on the front of that shirt is what? It's got Walk for Education for UNCF. I walked over to him and I said, well, I can tell where you just came from. He says, well, how can you tell? I mean, this shirt he had on, his whole family had on these shirts, but I love the commitment. Guess what? Clearly they were about the baller life as well, but they went to support came to support education, and lo and behold, drove clearly an hour away from here to meet us at this specific tournament that was well out.
And I said also is the brand affinity we have in our community for UNCF.
Yes.
Now we should line up with our support for UNCF with our brand affinity, right? But so that's bringing up the T-shirts. Let me shout out Miss Ruby Jackson there at Metropolitan, Gloria Ricks, who was here. But because they would actually put our church name on it.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard.
I mean it was the level of pride that people put into it.
Yes.
But it just shows that. So I appreciate that. So how do I register if I need to register for?
So if you would like to register, again, you can go online to that uncf.org/Milwaukee Walk. Hit that register button and you're right there. We've actually created another opportunity for team captains, people who were administering teams, they're commandeering teams. We wanted to make information easily accessible. We wanted to make this easier for people. Look, folks got the regular 9 to 5, then you got your 5 to 9. You're trying to deal with the things you have to deal with. So we didn't want to make this help that much more difficult. So people can actually also visit us at our Team Captains Hub, and it is actually at mkeuncf.info. And it has all of the info that has sign up, ways to ask, where we meet, what you can do, T-shirt pickup, all of the information that we need to know. It's actually on that side.
You gave us the date. Can you give us the time and the location?
Absolutely. So you guys said Veterans Park on August the 2nd. We actually this year are having something really, really unique that's happening starting at 8 o'clock with our torch bearers. I had to change what I originally thought to say because the last thing you want to tell people is I'm going to light the city on fire. I don't want to do that, but we do want to blaze a trail for education as we start. Where you getting ready to light the city on fire?
We feeling all kind of way right now. It won't take much.
We're excited. But no, for education. And we actually do want to light the way, which is part of our theme. So we have torch bearers where, look, Olympics has nothing on us. So we're going to be actually displaying a torch through the city for education prior to starting. That's starting around 8 a.m., 9 o'clock. We're going to start getting ourselves all warmed up in the park after registration. 9:30, we're getting ready to step off with our grand marshals in front.
Who's your grand marshals this year?
Well, we actually have a number of grand marshals. So our Mr. Mandela Barnes here is actually operating as one of those marshals. And so we're super excited about that. So we'll have a complete list of those individuals on that info website. So you'll be able to see them and tag us on Facebook because we got things going out every day about updates that are happening daily for the walk.
The UNCF Walk for Education. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
You got it.
Mandela,
what's up?
What anything you want to add before we?
Oh, for sure. I'm excited. And, this is one of the events where we want to get the community out because one thing we haven't really talked about, we spoke about the education piece, but the health piece, getting active, just any sort of movement is helpful. And we deal with a lot of health disparities in this community. And the best way to combat those disparities is a more active lifestyle. And people think, oh, you got to be able to go out and run fast. Oh, people think that, oh, I can't even run a mile. That's fine. I couldn't run a mile. And most people can't the first time they try. But it's the consistency. Some of y'all couldn't cook the first time y'all tried. You kept at it. Some people still can't. But a lot of people got better through repetition. And so my whole point here is the more you move, the more you improve. And that's what it's about. Like I'm really, really like tired of seeing people my age just dying. And from what would be natural causes, unfortunate causes, health issues before the age of 40, before the age of 50. Before the age of 60, like it is a pervasive issue in the community. And I think that as much as we're promoting education, we want to be able to promote healthy lifestyles. We want to make sure that people are able to enjoy themselves, get some fresh air, be around a community of people who are there to have a good time, people who are there to celebrate a good cause, and people who are there to uplift us as a whole. And I mean that in a fully rounded 360-degree way. Like we need to be firing on all cylinders. We need to make sure that our educational opportunities are there. We need to make sure that our health outcomes are much better. And we also got to get back to a place. I mean, you mentioned you mentioned family reunions, and I just like saw a very wild statistic about how few family reunions are even taking place these days. And so we need to have an outlet to be able to socialize with each other as well, because it can't just happen on the screen. And when we get to a place where our primary form of communication or the bulk of our communications only happen on screen, you don't get you don't get the full experience of being in a relationship with people. And I think that the decline of relationship in our community has led to a whole host of other issues. People don't trust each other because people don't know each other. And so come out, get to know some people, get active, and help some children out on the path to their future.
Will there be food vendors?
There will be. I'm scared to talk about them since you started talking about health, but we will make sure that there are some absolutely wonderful healthy options out there for us.
My diet is terrible. I'm not even gonna lie. My diet could definitely use some help. I just
so we'll less of the chicken wing and more on the fruit, but we really will have food vendors out there for us to enjoy.
Yeah, I shout out to the food vendors. I'm gonna. I don't want to get shamed into spending money, because usually I just I pop by a tent and I say, hey man, y'all remember me from that one time?
And then people actually do set up their own tents, like the different groups.
There are tent dwellers. There are some serious barbecuers out there. Somebody mentioned rib tip, and I did say, I'm sorry, I'm going to come by your tent, and don't act like you don't know me, because I really do want that rib tip. I'm just going to say that. But yes, we have a number of people who are actually going to be seriously grilling out there, and we welcome it. It's meant to be inclusive and to be, as he said, to create relationship and family, for us to come together for a purpose.
That's the United Negro College Fund Walk for Education, August 2nd, starting at 8 o'clock. And again, if people want to register, they can go to
uncf.org/Milwaukee Walk.
Let me thank Miss Latina Brooks. Let me thank Mr. Mandela Barnes.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having us.
Everybody. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
Welcome back to Community Voice. Now let me do this.
Where you get this sudden burst of energy from, man?
Yeah, that's where I was just going to get to. When Michelle called me yesterday to ask me to do this, and I was going 4 hours, not 4 hours, four.
Me and Mary had already talked, and we said he ain't gonna do it.
Really?
Keith said it's brutal doing those 4 hours.
It's 4.
And when Michelle called me back and said that you had agreed, I was like, wow, look at God. Won't he do it?
Hey, wait a minute. She didn't have to even talk me into it. I always love when she asked me to do something. I say yes right away. Then she's shocked, right? Because you know she want to slap me around normally because I
right.
But so I was anxious, man. I half slept. Like, man, I gotta get up. I gotta do 4 hours. At 7 o'clock in the morning, I get to do 4 hours. But hey, man, let me tell you. First of all, the callers made it so much easier.
Doc. Yeah,
Right. Well, you had a subject that was
on fire.
It's still hot. It's still new.
Yeah.
Some folks are just learning of these closings.
Right.
So it was certainly something they've been wanting to chime in about anyway.
Yeah. So, all right.
Not those usual boring subjects. I mean,
There he go. Back to the confessions. we going back to the confessions.
Normal stuff you
the
talking
views and
about.
opinions expressed on this show do
We talking
not
about stuff
reflect
people
those
actually want to talk about.
We just on here confessing like it's a priest. It's
That's right, Jojo. And people call it confession.
everybody start confessing. Everybody.
I used to steal.
You'd be like,
Hey, Devo, don't tell nobody. Right.
Yeah.
you remember that sandwich
Like they
that was
ain't
in
on
the
the radio.
refrigerator?
Right. People, it got to the point that, Angela, well, she did get it in, though.
Yeah.
She
Hey,
said, I used to tear them off, boy.
hey, Jermaine.
Well, you know, when that was happening, we had to confess our love on the radio. There's more confessions going on. Our love.
If I could, I kept a falling star to shine on you so I know where you are.
Where you are.
Paint a rainbow in your favorite.
There y'all go starting stuff.
To
man.
show I love you. Thinking of you.
trouble.
You're a genie in the sky.
Genie
Where's my
in the
pinky
bottle.
ring? Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Keith, Mr. Parrish.
What's happening?
This is Rick calling you from Germany, man.
What's up, Rick?
What up, Rick?
I just want to say you had a great show today on Michelle's time and on your time. I think most people who steal from supermarkets and steal high-end beef, they're trying to make money. They're trying to get reparations. So
high-end beef.
It's the first time I ever heard Rick laugh, man. You hear that? You hear that, man? Rick's laughing.
The guy said high-end beef.
I thought it was white girls. Reparation. You told me it's high-end beef. You told me it's ribeye steak. Oh, man.
So I think those who steal because they're hungry should go back to school or go to the church, go to the Muslim mosque, anything but steal and risk prison. Those who are stealing because they're trying to run a business, well, they know that prison is a part of the risk. I'm done, fellas.
Thank you, man.
You said high-end.
Tell you, man, I had every cut of beef, New York steak, prime rib,
low-end,
lamb chop, you name it.
Mid-end.
I haven't bought it.
What I have what you want? I'll be right back.
Right.
Larry, go on back there and pull that high-end beef off the shelf.
And man, listen, corned beefs, I think I may still have about 5 of them in my deep freezer now.
Be like, Larry,
I didn't worry about what season it was. It didn't make no difference.
go look in that warehouse and give me some of that mid-end beef. It's on the second shelf.
Wait a minute.
And I'm going to tell you, whoever came up with Now, it might work in certain communities, but they should have never put self-checkout on 35th and North.
Yeah, because they going to self-checkout. They going to check out self.
But you know what? There's Walgreens on 76th and
Center.
Right.
Yeah.
That's in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And I saw these sisters come in and bum rush, picked up all this stuff and ran out the store.
Mm.
The problem is, they say perception is reality. If that's what I see and that's all I see, then that's all it is.
That's all it is.
And I think, just getting back to it, it is more nuanced. It is more layered. It is more involved. We talk about the surface things that we do, but obviously there are people who've called in who work that type of retail will tell you that's a reality. Now, it is not. And then the first thing we do is we say, black people, don't.
Man, I know a dude that's all he take with him is white girls, because they go in and they don't get a second look.
Yeah, they're not gonna get the actual, and that's true, because I do know a real slick cat out here, and when he go out to like Burlington and out there to like the outlets, he take him 2 young white chicks.
During the LA rebellion back in 92, one of the statistics that people did not hear was that over 50% of people arrested for looting was white.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. Over 50% of the people arrested for looting was white. Because
too.
They stole us.
Yeah.
Caller, welcome to the program.
Stole
the land from the Indians. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, Keith.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, talking about theft of grocery stores. I live not too far from Midtown, so I go over there for some of the things that I need, and so at one time there was one way in the store and there was one way out of the store.
Right.
Well, the door where you go in, they shut that door down, and then they converted the in and out in just one area there.
That's against the law.
Well, it's done. I mean, it's not the same door. They divided the doors, but they said the reason why they did that is because of theft.
Right. Do you remember that Walgreens that was over on North Avenue between Sherman and I guess right before you get to Lisbon? I think it's
right there at 45th-ish.
Right. And they had where you could only get in the same door you came in was the same entrance you came out. If there's a fire, there's a problem.
Yeah,
I agree.
When I was at Parkman, and when y'all see in the movie, what is it, Lean on Me?
Yeah, with Crazy Joe.
Yeah, with Crazy Joe, Batty Man. Parkman, and Fulton, they had locks. They had literally put locks on the door. If there's a fire, people gonna die. Just trying to make sure people don't skip.
Yeah. You're right.
And so I checked out. So they got a security guard standing at the door. So on your way out, they want to see your receipt and they want to put put a mark on it.
Yep.
And so I really didn't understand. So I asked the guy one day. I said, "Why are you guys putting a mark on the receipt?" I said, "You can't see what's in the bags." He said, "Sir, the reason why we put a mark on the receipt is because you could take this receipt and you can go out of the store and you can give it to somebody and they could come in here and they could pick up the same items, put it in the bag and walk out the door." So theft is most definitely on the rise. And my question to you, Keith, is why is theft in grocery stores on the rise?
People home.
I think there's a certain level of there's a high level of food insecurities. If you go up here on Teutonia, right before you get to Villard, there is a Mashi there. Yeah. And when they do free food,
plenty
people are lining up. I know the Village group. So as quiet as it's kept, and the fact that they want to do even more cuts to the SNAP program, it only increases the number of people. And we're not justifying theft, But there are some people out there who are stealing just because they don't have. Now you got some folks out there, they was rogue from when they got here, right? But yeah, I think that's it. And it just shows a certain level of, like we say, food insecurity and hunger in our communities. So
because you can get pretty good money for it, you sell it.
Oh yeah.
People will buy food.
Yes, I understand that. How do we fix that, Keith? How do we fix this situation in our community? Well, I mean, I'm just asking the question. I just want to hear your response.
You know, the American system is built on the haves and the have-nots. I mean, that's kind of a shorthand of how the economy works. But you have a top and then you have a bottom. We have been dealing with hunger. The food stamp program came into its inception in the 60s, which meant that we were dealing with hunger in the 60s. We're the most advanced country on the planet, and we still have these issues when we look at how do we have the greatest healthcare system in the world, and we still deal with people who are dealing with healthcare issues. So I think hunger is part of that. Now, didn't Jesus say that the poor will always be with you, and that we've always had a problem with poor since the giddy up? So
with that being said, is that this problem is going to continue to exist, and so it's a form of normative.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to put it that way, but that is the reality because it has not changed in thousands of years. So,
okay, thank you.
All right. Let me thank Miss Latina Brooks, Mr. Mandela Barnes, Reverend Victoria Nelson. Did I get everybody?
That was it.
Yeah. Let me thank Debo. Let me thank Jermaine. And let me thank Michelle for the opportunity. When she returns on Monday, y'all call in and just talk about how much you really enjoyed the program when Keith was doing it on her program.
They don't do that on you.
No, they do it on my program. Oh, man. Right. Tell me how good Michelle's program. Like, dude, wasn't that like an hour ago?
Hey, but what about all of those confessions, man? Like all those people that lied.
Yeah, you better hope the statute of limitations. Thank you, Tojo. Right, we all going to jail today. Call the Tojo. What you in here for? Tojo.
I was very careful not to disclose as to where I was purchasing.
Oh, you still in there too, though. We all going down.
Just don't check my deep freezer.
Yeah, we all going down. We all everybody going down.
Check my deep freezer.
Did I?
Oh no, you didn't let the creek rise.
Oh, okay, the good Lord will the creek don't rise. So tomorrow's Friday.
No, it ain't.
Tomorrow's Thursday.
What's today?
Wednesday.
Man, bye, man.
4 hours.
He has given us